I think I should start off by noting, in the interests of journalistic integrity, or whatever the phrase might be, I'm gizmoed out. Just want everybody to know right off the bat, so that in case I'm less useful than usual, or whatever the case might be, you'll all know why.
A little out of character, perhaps?
Yeah, in case there's anything weird about this show. I was injured yesterday at the Tulalip Championship Wrestling event. I suffered a back injury, and Christ did it suck. And
why don't you tell the people what happened?
If you head over to Facebook right now, and you're one of my friends, there are actually photos up of last night.
Really?
Yeah, somebody named Evelina put up 25 pictures of my match with Riley.
Just of yours?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're all up there right now. If you're not one of my friends on Facebook, all you have to do is send a friend request and I'll okay you. Doesn't matter who you are.
You have no standards.
I have zero standards.
He'll befriend anyone.
My standards are, if you're on Facebook, you're a friend of mine. Let's see how many friends I've got right now. This is a very important thing for me. This new Facebook's bullshit, by the way. Hold on. I don't even know how to get to my goddamn profile.
Did you see
here we go.
Did you see in the photos that Ken Riley does in fact have a much better tan than you?
Yeah. I knew that going in. 980 friends.
Very close to 4 digits.
I need 20 of you to sign up tonight so that I can break the big 1,000. So yes, 22 photos of Tulalip Championship Wrestling, my match with Ken Riley, and you can also check out my new, short, generic ROH Indie Geek haircut. If you check
Which
these
will
out.
be gone by the end of the year.
It will be. Everyone should be looking at this now to see how my beard's coming along. Because it's only going to get better from here. That's how it's going to work. Anyway, I was wrestling Riley yesterday, and we were having a match. Everything was going fine. Vinny actually saw the match. He'd know better than I would. But Riley got the heat working over my back, as is always the case in my matches. And he's working over my back, ironically. And it was time for the big comeback. And I started firing up. Not as good as Rick Martel, mind you, in the match that we saw prior to this. But started firing up anyway, throwing some punches. Actually, I threw some chops. I remember what happened now. I threw a chop, and the second chop I threw, not only, this wasn't like he put his shoulder into it, or, whatever guys do to avoid being chopped. He just completely backed up.
He did the 3 things you can do to avoid a chop and make it look shitty all at once. He put his shoulder into it.
Yep.
He put his other hand up.
Yep.
And he took a bump early.
No, the second one. The second one I didn't even touch him because he backed away so fast.
I see, but we're talking about different chops here.
So I grabbed him and I threw him into the ropes and I screamed, "Let's go, Riley," or something like that, and I went to give him the big backdrop and there it went.
And you did the big backdrop.
I did the big backdrop
and it took a toll.
My back went out.
You lifted with your back, not your legs, apparently.
I don't know what I did. I just know that
Whatever you did, it was wrong.
I did this backdrop and my back tightened up and I just knew. And I immediately thought about Shawn Michaels landing on that casket. And that was just the end of his career. And I thought, at least that guy landed on a casket at the Royal Rumble on worldwide pay-per-view. I'm at Tulalip Championship Wrestling in front of 38 paid in a match with Ken Riley. This is not how I'm going out. But anyway, I didn't have much time to think about it, so I could barely even stand up. And I struggled to my feet, and at least my back had been worked on the whole match, you know what I mean? So at least it played into the storyline, but we finished the match. I super kicked him. I may have kicked his teeth down his throat. I have no idea. I just knew, this is all I have. I'm going to throw this, and you better block it. And I fell on him, and that was the end. And then I lurched my way upstairs, and anyway.
Wept?
Fucked.
Yes.
No, I didn't get fucked upstairs.
Oh.
I was just throwing that in there. No, but my back, I couldn't stand up straight, shuffling around. We went to Olive Garden afterwards, and remember I made mention that I felt like the Great Khali?
Applebee's afterwards.
Applebee's,
yes, you did mention and you were walking like him.
I was, and I went home, and I took my shirt off, and I looked in the mirror, and what's going on?
I hear noises in the living room.
Why don't you go check?
I'm going to go investigate, folks.
Oh, Jesus. I think Vinny's lost his mind here. Anybody in there, Vince? Of course not. All right, why don't you lock the door so you don't worry about it? This is great radio. So anyway, as I noted, we went to Applebee's, and I felt like the great Khali, and afterwards I went home, and I took my shirt off, and I looked in the mirror, and I'm not going to take my shirt off here, Vinny. You're just going to have to take my word for it.
What a shame.
My back does not have a curve in it.
Your back got straightened?
My back looks exactly like the great Khali's.
Wow.
From the back of my head down to my heels, it is a complete straight line.
That sucks.
There is no bend in it. I got to show you this.
No!
Now just look at it.
All right.
Look at where my back should have a curve.
We now have it. Well, that's... Dude, it's true. Even your ass is gone. You have to get your ass broken off.
It is a completely straight line. So, I went to sleep.
It sucks to be you.
Which was a fucking task in and of itself. And then today I was just like, I gotta go to the doctor. I gotta get something. This aggression will not stand, in the words of the great Lebowski, or George Bush. So anyway, I went there and you always hear in wrestling about the Mark doctors.
I've heard a tale or two.
All right, I went in there. I had to wait around for like 45 minutes before I got pulled in, and then I went in, and first I had the woman that takes all your blood pressure and everything like that, and she's asking me all these questions and this and that, and she's asking me how to spell words. That was a good one. So anyway, she finally calls in the doctor, and he comes on in and looks at my back for a second, and it's not a minute before he's like, well, I'm going to give you a muscle relaxer, and I'm going to give you an anti-inflammatory, more powerful than ibuprofen, and do you want some painkillers?
And how did you answer that question?
He asked,
yes.
Do you want some painkillers? And I was like, sure. And then he goes, if you want, I'll give you a shot in the ass right now. And I said, a shot in the ass, you say? And he goes, yeah, are you allergic to ibuprofen? And I said, no, I've been taking a little. He goes, oh, this would be great then. I'll give you a shot in the ass and you'll be able to move around. People say they can move around real great afterwards. And I was like, well, all right.
This sounds like the worst seduction attempt I've ever heard.
Gleefully, he was saying this, by the way. All of this was with great joy about all of these drugs and this shot that he was going to give me.
In the ass.
Yeah. So he goes, lay down on that thing right there.
Do I need to hear this?
So I laid down.
I bet you did.
I was like, okay, I'll take a shot in the ass. I've been hurting here. So anyway.
So he sodomized you.
Well, no. As I lay down on the table, I was like, what time is it? And he says, oh, it's 12:40. I said, well, I got to be at the masseuse at 1. And he said, oh, well, if I give you this shot in the ass, you got to stay here for 20 minutes before you can leave. And I said, well, I don't have time for that. He goes, well, you could come back after and I'll give you the shot in the ass. And I said, well, I got a show I got to do at 3, so that ain't going to fly either. He goes, well, if you can make it back, just make it back, and I'll just give you the shot in the ass.
Your doctor's weird.
And off I went on my merry way. I went to the masseuse. She took one look at my back, and her exact words were, maybe you should see a doctor. And I said, I beat you to it. And then she says, well, I can't really massage it much because I could make it worse. So basically I got a 1-hour, largely pointless massage. And then I went to the pharmacy, and I did in fact get 3 different Gizmo prescriptions. And now I'm feeling, and Icy Hot. He also told me Icy Hot.
There's a jar of that right here at the table.
Rub the Icy Hot on, he said. So anyway, I still have no arch in my back. I can't stand up fully straight. The good news is the guy told me, actually one of the valets at Tulalip Championship Wrestling is a masseuse. So she worked on me a little bit upstairs, and so to speak. And anyway, the good news is I have no pain or numbness in my extremities. Like it's not shooting down one leg. So anyway, it appears I have just sprained my back. So I didn't blow a disc. I didn't break my back. Nothing like that. my back was overworked. And I guess he went up heavy on the back drop and out went my back. So anyway, I feel fine right now.
I bet you do.
I feel pretty damn good actually. But I am sitting down. When I walk around, I'm walking around like a 150-year-old man. So anyway, for about the next week or so, there may be some fun and games here on the program, depending on. And I should note also to let everybody know I am not in fact a drug addict. He did give me 5 milligrams of Vicodin, 5 milligram tablets of Vicodin. I'm only taking half. I don't know if I should be taking the whole thing 3 times a day. That might be bad news.
I definitely think you should.
So, plus if I take half, there's more for later.
Well, there's that.
Next time I blow out my back.
So you're a disciplined drug user.
Next time I have to carry Ken Riley and my back goes out. That's my backup stash. So anyway, that's the story. And Tulalip Championship Wrestling returns on October 11th, I believe they said, with Eugene in the house. And Vinny, any thoughts on the show and how everything went?
We were, there was...
in your new job.
I'm back in wrestling. When I'm back in the business, it's true, you can't stay away. I, for one night at least, was the official Tulalip Championship Wrestling bell ringer.
Bell ringer.
And I must say I did a fine job.
Sure.
I walked in and Caden said, "Hey, we need someone to ring the bell." And I thought, that actually sounds like fun. I could probably do that. I'll ring the bell. So I was cool with that. Well, although I did mention Caden, I can't work for free. So he said, and I quote, "I'll get you a hot dog."
Yeah.
And I said, "Cool." So, this is like an hour before or like a half hour before doors are supposed to open, an hour and a half before the show starts. And there's our group. We had a kind of a large entourage because we came with Buddy's family and hanging out with Tammy and their niece and nephew.
Granny was there.
Well, Granny got there later.
Okay.
This is before the show. There was like the 6 of us in our crew and like 2 other people there, and we're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and no one's showing up. And it gets to be like, the show's supposed to start at 8, and by like 7:30, there has been not one other single person in the building yet. And we're looking at each other like, are they going to actually do the show with a crowd of 0?
I remember 20 minutes before, I came from upstairs,
yes.
I walked through the curtain.
Because there's no bathroom up there, right?
It's 7:40,
yeah.
Show starts at 8. I came through the curtain, and I saw nothing.
Yeah,
I saw literally an empty building.
Yeah. So
that
apparently,
was worrisome.
Yeah, we apparently about 5 minutes after that, because it was briefly before, right? But they finally opened the doors. Don't ask me why the doors opened 50 minutes late, but apparently they were holding people back because like a dozen people came in at once. And I thought, oh, okay, there's people start piling through the line now. No. That dozen people was it for several minutes.
Yeah.
And then a few more people wandered in, and then a few more, and Sean and I were counting. And we got up to about 30 before we just gave up and said, well, there's 30 people here. I have, in fact, worked in front of smaller crowds. And by the end, yes, 36 paid.
Yeah.
So that was the what they got for their free nights of flyering, as Caden and his pal would later mention at Applebee's. They couldn't believe that all that flyering, and they got 36 paid. And that's the people that showed up to find the flyers for Eugene in their seats. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited to see Eugene, actually, but that's a month from now. And and then the show began, and it was a typical Tulalip show. Some of it was good, some of it was bad. I mostly felt bad for Richie, who got to wrestle Pete Storm.
Yeah.
Because one of the guys in Tulalip can think, oh boy, I could wrestle him. And Richie, they had a brawl for about 90 seconds, and then Buddy ran in for the DQ. Yeah. Richie lives in Vancouver, Washington, everyone.
And this was a 5-match show, by the way.
This is a 5-match show. Richie drove almost 3 hours, in fact, past Everett, so yeah, 3 hours from Vancouver to Tulalip to go to the Boys and Girls Club and wrestle a 90-second DQ.
Yeah.
That sucks.
What can you do?
What can you do? The other highlight was when Wildcard came out and he cut a promo. Now, Wildcard used to be part of a tag team called Rollin' Too Deep. He had a partner named Cadillac Callis who one day decided, fuck wrestling, I'm going to be a fan. And so he now comes to the shows, presumably buys his own tickets, still often steals the show by shouting funny things. But
he is my biggest fan.
He's your biggest fan. He hates Buddy, though.
Yeah.
That's kind of odd. But so Wildcard comes out and announces that there soon will be a tag team tournament coming up in Tulalip, and he wants his old partner back. And the crowd cheered, and Cadillac stood up and made it abundantly clear that he would not be returning to the ring in any way, shape, or form. And he turned down his partner in front of everyone, and so Wildcard had his match.
Yeah.
That was fun.